Hi, I'm Jack Horscraft and I want to talk to you about cannabis. Cannabis has been getting more and more attention in the media in the last few years. Now that it's being legalised around the world, decriminalised and treated in a completely different way, it's arguably getting the most media attention it's ever had. With social media, opinions are flying everywhere and I want us to be talking about it more. I watched a great documentary on Channel 4 last night where they live trialled cannabis. It's the most popular recreational drug that anybody uses around the world, according to statistics. And it affects more people with problems with addiction, problems with mental health, and it's very widely debated. I want to join the debate and I want to talk about cannabis. Cannabis was the first psychoactive drug I ever used. I was 21 years old when I first tried it. I tried cannabis at a time where I was growing up, looking for a lot of answers. 21 was a very difficult stage of my life where people are asking you who you are, what you're doing, what your life means, and you're under quite a bit of pressure to break into adulthood and define yourself. Some friends and I first decided to try cannabis as a new thing, not something unheard of before, and we wanted to try and see what it was all about. The first time I tried cannabis was fantastic. It was probably the best first time of anything I've ever had. I didn't enjoy the first time I drank alcohol. Didn't enjoy the first time I had sex. I didn't enjoy the first time I tried to drive a car. So as far as stages of growing up go, cannabis was the best first time I've ever had. I felt instantly released and physically high. My mind was running with new ideas and information that I'd never ever accessed before or been able to access. And it was an incredibly exciting experience, albeit very different to anything I'd tried before. That for me was what intrigued me at first. It wasn't that I was addicted from my first taste at all, and I'm not saying that's the case. Very much wanted to understand it again and recreate that initial buzz that I got from the first time. After I had enjoyed that first buzz and had used cannabis for the first time, I, as an enthusiastic person and someone really looking for some answers, became desperate to recreate that moment. I started using cannabis a lot more. I wanted to use it as often as I could. I felt like it was nothing but a good idea. My friends didn't necessarily agree, so I ended up using it alone a lot, which meant that I would have to drive out in my car on my own and just sit and smoke, which was all well and good for the thinking side of it, but it felt more alone and more alienated and isolated. And I think because of cannabis's social position, certainly in this country as an illegal drug, people see it as that and it's criminalised and it can alienate you as a person. And I found myself using it more and more as a means of escape. I enjoyed it, I felt it was a good thing for me. Nobody else seemed to agree, so I was more and more on my own and cannabis became my only friend. Another reason why using it on my own was that I wanted to rebel doing normal things that my parents were doing in their life, and I wanted to try and make it clear that I was going to do things my own way. And because cannabis was so unaccepted, it became a perfect route for that. Problem being really that cannabis is a psychoactive drug and does affect your mind. Through that being my rebellion, it actually played a lot on my health and my own well-being mentally and socially, whereas there are other forms of rebellion that might not have done that. I soon began using every day. It meant that I would wake up and think, okay, first off, let's smoke. I used it before any situation because I felt it would make situations easier. Before I'd go to the supermarket, I would smoke. Before I'd go to social situations, I would smoke, and it became a part of me. People associated me with smoking. I was always smoking, had some with me, and I had to have it all the time. That meant that I then started socialising with other users, and once that happened I found myself justifying it more and more. People who are using it all the time don't want to hear that it's a bad thing to do, so you're using it with them, using means of justification for it. I certainly felt that because I was using it every day, I realised that nothing is good for you every day. It was like sitting in a casino all day in the dark, only ever being in there. That's a lot for your mind to take, being on one track all the time. It was easy to get lost in it. It has a massive culture behind it and a lot of history, so it was very easy to get a lot of positive information about it to use in my justification. What I couldn't find was any information about unbiased effects of cannabis. It was all massive pros or massive negatives. Once I began using every day and surrounding myself with other smokers, I ended up having cannabis with me all the time. It was around me, I was using it in my job, I was using it in my everyday lifestyle, and that meant that I was officially addicted. I found myself smoking a lot and I felt I needed to. I was in a position to become addicted. I was looking for something to lean on and cannabis became that for me. It was the first time I realised in my life that addiction can happen to absolutely anybody. Before then, I never thought that I would become addicted to a drug. I never liked drugs and I always felt I was happiest in myself sober and didn't need anything. It was when I became not happy in my life that I started to lean on something else. That escape from myself, that separation from my sober mental state became my comfort zone. Because I used it every day, that high that I'd first experienced didn't exist anymore. I didn't notice the feelings, but the effects were still there happening. I started to notice myself becoming far more anxious. I used to think people might be following me, and it became all about me. So the spotlight that I wanted taken off of me as a 21-year-old being asked a lot of questions was actually heightened massively by cannabis. It's because of this experience with cannabis that I strongly agree that legalisation and decriminalisation in this country needs to happen. Not because I want cannabis to be available for everyone to just run around using cannabis all day. It's because I want more information to be available, proper studies being done. I want it regulated so that anyone who does choose to do this, which people are, everybody is, no different to alcohol or any other illegal drug. People choose to do cannabis, they need more information, they need to know what they're taking, how to take it. It needs to be clear in our education system from very early on that doing something all day every day isn't good for your health or your mental health. People need to understand when it's illegal, you are driven underground, so you buy it from bad people who are doing it for a bad reason. It automatically alienates you, and the addiction becomes a dark part of your life because it's criminalised, seen as a dark part of society. So I would strongly agree with legalisation, but addiction could happen to absolutely anybody. People need to be aware that this isn't a harmless drug. There are side effects of it if you are smoking a lot of it. Anyone who tells you that it's great and just to keep doing it is someone who's trying to justify the addiction to themselves. It's very key that we talk about it more. I made this video because of my experience with cannabis. Everybody's experiences are different, everybody is different. Cannabis is just a plant that has effects on people. Different people see it in different ways. I'm not trying to encourage or discourage anybody. What I'm saying is that conversation needs to open up, and I know there'll be a lot of debate around the topic because it's close to people's hearts, and I look forward to debating with people. More information is required, and whether like it or not, cannabis is there, it's here to stay, people are going to use it. I want to thank you for watching. I want to refer people to my blog post, which I'll be releasing one a week of for the next few weeks, about my experience with cannabis, and you can find that at jackhorsecraft.co.uk. Thanks very much for watching.